My name is Sara Drew, and I am an art conservator at Center Art Studio in New York City. My team and I are going to walk you through step by step how we restore a 250-plus-year-old French plaster and gilt wood frame. This frame was brought to us by a private client along with a painting that we will restore as well. The frame, when it came to us, was extremely dirty, and it needed a lot of structural repairs. There was a lot of ornament that was missing. When we start cleaning the frame, we start with the back. There's a lot of resin on the back of the frame, so we use a scalpel to scrape this resin off. It's likely some sort of polyurethane from a previous restoration. That stuff is tricky to remove, so mechanically removing it with a scalpel is the best approach. Once we have the back clean, we flip the frame right side up and we start the front cleaning. We commonly use cotton swabs to clean the surface of a frame, but we also are going to be using micro metal tools, literally the same tools that a dentist will use, to really get into all of the small little recesses. We use a variety of solvents which lift the dirt up and allow us to then take swabs to lift the dirt away. This frame was originally water gilded, which means gold leaf was applied to it. Because of that, we have to be very careful with our cleaning because it would be very easy to remove that original gilding. We never want to make something look brand new. So while we are going into the recesses and we are removing the dirt, we don't want to entirely remove all of that built-up patina. We want to retain an element of age. The main issue with the back of this frame is that it has been expanded to take a larger piece of art than it was originally built for. The first time we saw it, we knew that we were going to have to disassemble it and build it back up properly. In order to put the frame back properly, we are using a product called fish glue, which is a super condensed fish product. It's a very traditional adhesive to use in conservation, and it's very strong. And then we align the frame. Once we feel that all the structural work has been completed, we move on to filling in the missing areas of the frame. 3 of the 4 corners are completely missing their corner ornament. Luckily, we have 1 corner that is completely intact. That works to our advantage in this case because we will be able to take a silicone mold of this corner and then cast plaster replicas of it. To make a mold off the frame, we use a silicone compound. Once you have it mixed together, you can lay it over a part of the frame that you want to replicate. It cures over the course of about 20 or 30 minutes. Once it's fully cured, you can carefully peel it off the frame. And you will have the imprint of the shape of the frame that you want to replicate in that mold. We are using plaster to cast the molds. So we mix up a batch of plaster. And we pour it into the silicone mold. Once the plaster has dried, we can pop that out of the mold. To prepare the frame to receive the plaster casts, we need to remove some of the plaster material that's already on it. We use a hammer and chisel to carve away a recess that will allow the cast piece to sit flush in the frame. We will shape and finesse these cast pieces to make sure that they fit properly in the areas where we're going to be applying them. We use sandpaper in different grits. We are using fish glue, again, to adhere the cast pieces onto the frame. When we feel like the frame is physically complete, it is time to move on to the color work. The first layer of paint that we are applying to the frame is a primer. This is a Venetian red primer, and that just creates a very nice red base layer for us to work off of. We are gold leafing the ornaments in the corners of this frame. This is a process called gilding. The frame was originally gilded with gold leaf, and so whenever possible we like to use the original materials in our restoration just so the object has as much integrity to the original as possible. The first step to gilding, after you've applied the base layer, is to apply a sizing medium, and this is brushed onto the plaster and it is allowed to dry for about 30 minutes. It gets tacky, and once it's tacky, it's in the right state to accept the gold leaf. It is very, very delicate, so you can't touch it with your hands, it will just crumble. So in order to handle it, Karen, one of our team members, is using a horsehair brush and lay it onto the ornament that we want to gild. We also will use squirrel hair brushes to brush it on and make sure that it's adhering to all of the recesses and all of the areas of the frame. Once the gold leaf is applied, we move on to the inpainting process, and we are going to paint over the gold leaf to tone it down slightly, and also over all of the fills that we've made on the frame. And we use a combination of conservation colors, which are paints that are specifically designed for conservation work. It is literally a trial and error process. Often we will make a color, we'll have to adjust it, correct it a little bit. This is where the frame starts to really look like one whole object again. The next step is to apply a layer of shellac, and this just serves as a top coat. It protects all of our work. It also makes everything just have a cohesive finish and sheen. We're really happy with how this restoration came out. We have done a lot to restore the structural integrity and the visual integrity of this frame, and we hope the client can enjoy the frame for years to come.